Hey, what's up? This is Todd Smith, and I am back with another video. In this video, I want to talk about the benefits of having a small studio space. I personally went from having a really big room, which I could have all my synthesizers out at one time and really go to town, into a kind of a situation where I'm now almost in a prison cell style room. I really do not have much room at all. If you've been watching my latest videos, I literally have my 707 on this little plastic table, and I put another synth on my bed. And that is about all the space I have in my room. If I wanted anything else, I'd probably have to find more room on my bed. So I went from having, like 5-6 full-fledged keyboards, a bunch of analog Behringer gear, a 707, a 404, all at my fingertips at one time, down to maybe now having 2, maximum 3 pieces. And at first I was pretty frustrated going from a really large room down to a really small setup, but I realized there's some benefits to a small little setup, a small room, a small workflow. One of the major benefits is really when you have so much at one time out, you're not going to deep dive into all those pieces and learn it inside and out. When you have like 5-6 different keyboards, 5-6 different analog monos, a groove box, a sampler, and a bunch of other stuff kind of thrown around the room, you're less inclined to dive deep on the individual pieces and learn them inside and out. And now flip this around to a smaller room and you only have a couple pieces, the tables have turned. You really have to go in there and dig, learn each individual piece, learn all the nooks and crannies of the sound design, the workflow, which can be highly beneficial to actually learning the guts of a machine. You've now cut out all the fat and all the really excess pieces. Now you have to choose 1, 2, 3 pieces that really do the job, and you learn them inside and out. And it could very well turn out that knowing 3 pieces that work together really good inside and out could end up creating better results for you than a room full of things that you only know took 10% of each of the item. Another great aspect of a small setup is it's just not so overwhelming. Sometimes it can be very hard to find a starting point when you have so much gear. Then on top of that, each of the gear kind of has their own individual workflow. You have to learn the workflow of each of the piece that you're going to touch. And it can just really be more overwhelming, more daunting, which would drive you less to actually touch the pieces because you just kind of feel overwhelmed to even start. Where if you have a couple pieces that you know and that you're learning inside and out, that creative spark will hit you faster because you're going to be like, oh, I want to jump into this because I know this. This is something I want. I know the workflow. I know what I'm doing here. It makes you be really selective on the pieces that you have and, how they work. You're not going to end up buying a bunch of filler junk that you don't end up touching and using. If you only got a couple pieces that you can fit in your setup or your room, you're going to be highly selective on the output and how they work together. Where somebody with a big, large room that's almost endless, they could end up buying a bunch of things just off of just kind of, capitalism, let's spend money. I got a big paycheck, let's go. And before they know it, they could have 10 different synths, which they only know 10% of the workflow on all of them because they just kept buying because they have the space to support it. And they end up doing a lot less work because, again, they're just so overwhelmed with what they have in front of them compared to somebody with a really small, compact setup that they just know inside and out. I definitely experienced that over the last year with the MC707. I did a deep dive. A lot of my videos were on that because I spent the whole year just digging into the guts of this machine and really finding what I want out of it. And now that's turned into the JDXA as my sound module. So those two together, the 707 and the JDXA, I'm really learning inside and out. And I've found, just like I stated before, that I'm a lot more excited to turn on the 707 and the JDXA because I know how to start. I know that where to go, and I know what to do. So even though it may be like, oh man, I don't have the space, I can't afford all this gear, I can only afford a few things, I'm very limited in, the layout of my room, that could end up being a very good thing, especially if you're newer to electronic music, because with the prices today, if you have space, it can be very easy to fall into that other category where I say you just keep buying and buying and buying and buying and buying. So if you're just starting out, and since you're kind of new and you have a small limited space, look at that as kind of a good thing. You've got to choose what you want very selectively, and you've got to learn it inside and out. 9 out of 10 times, especially with somebody new in the field, that's going to be something that pulls them in more often. They'll be less overwhelmed with the mass amount of stuff they have to learn. So if you're stuck in a limited space, definitely do not think of it as a bad thing. I would love to hear your opinion. What do you have in your limited space? What is the setup that you use, your couple pieces, your go-tos within your limited space that you thrive in those small environments? I would love to know. And as always, stay positive, stay creative, support each other, and peace.